I'm 72 years old, and last week, I buried my wife. Elizabeth wasn't just my partner in marriage, she was the breath in my lungs, the one constant in a world that kept changing. We had been married for 48 years. Almost half a century of laughter, of growing up together, of building a home filled with memories. The house feels different now. Quieter. Bigger. Emptier. We bought it right after our wedding, eager and wide-eyed, filling its walls with dreams and photo frames. That same house saw the birth of our son, Tom, our only child. He was the center of our world. We gave him everything we never had, the best education, piano lessons, summer camps, and all the love in our hearts. He was a kind, respectful boy. So bright. So full of promise. We thought we had done everything right. We imagined that after college, he'd return to the city, maybe settle down close by. I pictured Sunday dinners with him and his family, Elizabeth baking too much pie, and our grandkids running through the hallway. But that future never came. Instead, during his senior year, Tom met a girl, Anna. Things moved fast between them, a whirlwind romance, they called it. They got married just after graduation, without much ceremony, and told us they wanted to build a life on their own. I respected that. I understood. Elizabeth cried a little that night, but she smiled and supported their decision. At first, everything seemed fine. Tom called often, told us about his job, their small apartment, the new life he was building. But then, the calls grew less frequent. Weeks passed, then months. Until one day, we realized we hadn't heard from our son in over a year. We called. He didn't answer. We sent birthday cards, Christmas letters, even photos. Nothing came back. It was as if we had been erased. Elizabeth never said it aloud, but I could see it in her eyes, the heartbreak. She'd sit quietly at the window with her knitting, waiting for a letter that never came. Every holiday, we'd set an extra plate at the table, hoping maybe this year, Tom would surprise us. But he never did. And when Elizabeth got sick, when she began the long, painful fight against cancer, I thought, surely now, he'll come. Surely he'll feel it. Somehow he'll know. But no, he never showed up. Not even once. I took care of Elizabeth myself. I bathed her, fed her, read to her, held her hand when the pain got unbearable, and whispered stories from our youth to keep her smiling. Our neighbors helped when they could. Friends dropped off meals. But our son, our only child, was nowhere. When Elizabeth passed, a part of me went with her. I planned the funeral alone, picked out her favorite lilies, chose the hymn she loved, printed the photograph of her smiling in that red dress, the one from our trip to Florence. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. And then, the morning of the funeral, something happened. I was standing at the front of the church, welcoming guests with a tight smile and a broken heart, when I saw him. Tom, my son, older now, with streaks of gray in his hair and weariness in his eyes. He stood at the entrance holding the hand of a woman I assumed was Anna. 2 children clung to them, a boy and a girl, maybe 8 and 6. My heart stopped. I didn't know whether to run to him or turn away. He approached me slowly, unsure. His eyes were red, like he'd been crying. We stared at each other for a long, painful second, and then he embraced me. I didn't expect to return the hug, but I did. I held him. My boy. My Tom. And for a moment, it felt like I could breathe again. There wasn't time to speak. The service was starting. Tom sat beside me, his children quietly fidgeting in the pews. When it was time for tributes, he stood. His voice trembled as he spoke of his mother, how she used to bake him cookies when he was sad, how she helped him ride a bike, kissed every scraped knee, and always made him feel safe. By the end, there wasn't a dry eye in the church. After the service, Tom asked to speak privately. We stepped aside, just the 2 of us, behind the church. And he broke. The tears poured freely, his voice cracking with every word. He apologized for leaving, for disappearing, for not calling, not writing, not being there when we needed him most. He said Anna had begged him to reach out, but shame kept him silent. I listened, and I forgave him. Because how could I not? He was my son, and I loved him. He introduced me to Anna properly. She seemed kind, warm. And then my grandchildren, Michael and Emily. They called me Grandpa without hesitation. It felt like a dream. Like a chapter one thought was forever lost had reopened, inviting me in. We returned to the house after the funeral. The children ran through the halls, laughing, exploring every corner like it was a castle. Tom and I sat in the living room, surrounded by photographs and memories. We talked for hours. He told me about his job and his work, the kids' school, their home. I told him about Elizabeth, her final days, her strength, the silence she left behind. Then came the question, "What will you do now, Dad?" I told him I wasn't sure. That this house, it held too many memories to leave behind. He offered to help, said maybe I should sell it, move closer to them, be near the kids. We could make up for lost time. But I couldn't do it. Not yet. This was Elizabeth's home. My home. The place where we danced in the kitchen, painted nursery walls, and watched sunsets from the porch swing. Tom understood. He said we'd make regular visits, stay in touch, call often. And as he hugged me goodbye, he whispered, "Thank you, Dad. I love you." And I cried again, for the years we lost, and the hope that maybe, just maybe, we'd get a few back. In the weeks that followed the funeral, something unexpected happened. Tom kept his word. He called me every week, sometimes more. We talked about everything and nothing. The kids' school, his job, the weather, my garden. It felt easy, familiar, like a bridge was being rebuilt, one careful stone at a time. About a month later, he surprised me. They all did. He and Anna showed up one Saturday morning with the kids in tow. I wasn't expecting them, but I was overjoyed. Michael and Emily ran into my arms like they'd known me forever. We spent the weekend looking through old photo albums, laughing over stories from Tom's childhood, and telling the kids about their grandmother, how she loved sunflowers, how she couldn't stand scary movies, how she used to hum while folding laundry. That weekend sparked something. The visits became regular. Every other weekend, Tom and his family came by, sometimes overnight, sometimes just for the day. The house, once quiet and still, was alive again, full of laughter and spilled juice and the sound of little feet racing down the hall. I started looking forward to their visits, planning meals, pulling out old board games, even baking cookies with Emily. Tom seemed to be making a real effort. He'd help around the house, fixing leaky faucets, changing light bulbs, replacing the batteries in the smoke alarms. He'd sit with me in the evening, watching old baseball games and asking about my health. He even offered to help me get a new doctor after mine retired. I was touched. After years of silence, it felt like I finally had my son back. But then, the questions started. At first, they were subtle. "How are you managing with just your pension, Dad? Have you thought about maybe getting a smaller place? Must be a lot for you alone." Reasonable questions, I thought. He was just concerned. Then it got more specific. He started asking about my savings, my insurance, whether I'd updated my will recently. He asked about Elizabeth's life insurance policy and whether it paid out. He wanted to know the value of the house. It made my stomach turn. I tried to brush it off. Maybe he was just trying to help me plan. Maybe he was trying to be a responsible son, thinking about the future. But the doubt wouldn't leave me. Something felt off. And then my sister Linda visited. It was the evening after Tom and his family had left. We sat in the kitchen with coffee, and she looked me in the eye and said, "I need to tell you something." Apparently, Tom had been talking to other people in the family, cousins, neighbors, even Linda herself, asking about my finances, my pension, if I had any other property or investments. He'd even asked Linda about the value of the house and if she thought I might inherit anything from other relatives. She was worried. So were others. They weren't sure Tom's motives were as pure as they seemed. At first, I refused to believe it. I defended him. I said he was trying to reconnect, to make things right. But that night, as I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted. That maybe, just maybe, this wasn't about family at all. Maybe it was about money. After many sleepless nights and a growing ache in my chest, I decided I had to know the truth. I couldn't live in limbo, wondering whether my son was here out of love or out of greed. So I came up with a plan, a test. During their next weekend visit, I waited until the kids were playing in the living room and Tom, Anna, and I were sitting at the kitchen table. After dinner, I cleared my throat and said I had something to share. "I've been thinking about the future," I began slowly. "This house, it's too big for just me. It's getting harder to keep up with everything. I've decided I'm going to sell it and move closer to you, maybe even into your neighborhood." I watched their faces like a hawk. Tom blinked. Anna's fork paused halfway to her mouth. He looked at her. She looked at him. Then Tom smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Wow, Dad," he said. "That's a big step." "Are you sure?" I nodded, playing along. "Yes. I miss family. I'd love to be closer to all of you." Then he asked it. "How much do you think the house is worth?" The moment the words left his mouth, I saw it. The glint in his eye. Anna leaned forward slightly. I told them the estimated value, a substantial figure, given the size of the house and the neighborhood. Their interest sharpened. What followed was an enthusiastic discussion about how wonderful it would be if I moved nearby. They offered to help me find a realtor, to research retirement communities, even to handle the logistics of the move. Tom mentioned I could babysit the kids regularly. They'd love that, Dad. And you'd have company all the time. But underneath the cheerful tone, I heard something else. A calculation. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing Tom's voice in my head. Not the little boy asking me to read him one more bedtime story, but the grown man asking about the house's worth. I got up for a glass of water and walked past the guest room they were staying in. That's when I heard them. Whispers. Hushed, urgent voices behind the closed door. I know I shouldn't have done it, but I stopped. I listened. And what I heard broke me. Tom was telling Anna that once I sold the house, they could finally pay off their debts. He talked about renovations they could afford, the new car they'd get, and even a luxury vacation. Anna asked where I'd live. Tom replied calmly that he'd convinced me to move into assisted living, said it would be better for everyone, and that I'd get the care I needed without being a burden. He said it like he was discussing moving a piece on a chessboard. My knees almost gave out. This was my son, the boy I had raised, the man I had forgiven, the father of the grandchildren I had just begun to love, plotting to strip away my independence and pocket the proceeds of my home. My home. The one Elizabeth and I built together. The one she took her last breath in. I couldn't take another second. Without thinking, I opened the door. They froze. Their faces drained of color. For a second, we just stared at one another, the truth hanging in the air like smoke from a house fire. Then I spoke. You think I'm some old fool you can manipulate? I said, my voice low but shaking with fury. You think you can walk back into my life after years of silence, smile at my face, hug my grandchildren in my living room, and then steal the home your mother and I built together? Tom opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Anna looked down at her lap, tears rolling silently down her cheeks. I heard everything, I continued. The new car, the renovations, the luxury vacation, and your grand plan to dump me in a retirement facility so I wouldn't get in the way. I was trembling now, not from age or weakness, but from a kind of betrayal I never thought I'd know. Tom finally spoke. Dad, it's not what it sounded like. I was just thinking about how to make things easier for you. I want what's best for you. No, I snapped. You want what's best for you. Don't dress it up as concern. He tried again. You're twisting this. No, Tom. You twisted it. You twisted my trust, my grief, my loneliness, into some kind of opportunity. He stood, frustrated, pleading now. Dad, please. I made mistakes, yes, but I came back because I missed you. I wanted to fix things. I do love you. You loved your mother too, remember? I said sharply. But you didn't even come when she was dying. Silence fell like a curtain. Anna wiped her face, but said nothing. She didn't try to defend him. She didn't deny what they'd said. That told me everything. I want you out, I said quietly. Now. Tonight. Dad, it's the middle of the night. I don't care. Pack your things. Wake the kids if you have to. I won't have you sleep another night under this roof. The next hour passed in a blur. I sat alone in the living room as they packed. I heard hushed arguing, the rustle of luggage, the soft confusion of sleepy children asking what was going on. I didn't answer their questions. I just hugged them goodbye at the door, holding them close as if I could freeze time. Tom tried one last time to say something, to explain, to plead, to justify. I raised a hand and stopped him cold. Don't call me. Don't write. If I ever hear from you again, it better not be about money. He lowered his head. Anna kept her eyes down. And then they were gone. Just like that. Again. The house has never felt so silent. Not even after Elizabeth passed. This silence was different. It was final. Not just a pause in conversation, but the echo of a door closing for good. A chapter sealed shut. I sat in Elizabeth's favorite chair that night until the sun rose. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I just stared out the window and thought of everything we'd built, everything we'd lost, and the son who had become a stranger in pursuit of something so hollow. Grief has layers, I've learned. I thought losing Elizabeth was the deepest pain I'd ever feel. But this betrayal, this deliberate manipulation from the child I had raised with love, it tore through me in a different way. Colder. Heavier. In the days that followed, I told my sister Linda and a few close friends what had happened. They were furious. Heartbroken for me. But they rallied. They came by often. They brought me food, helped tidy the house, sat with me through the silence. They reminded me that family isn't just blood, it's who shows up. I started volunteering again at the local community center, teaching chess to the kids, helping out with Sunday lunches. Those children, with their laughter and curiosity, helped lift the fog. I rediscovered old hobbies, things Elizabeth had always loved seeing me enjoy: woodworking, painting, even gardening again. The house, once a tomb of memories, slowly started to feel like mine again. I put out fresh flowers every week for Elizabeth. I talked to her photos sometimes, just as if she were sitting across from me. I told her about the day, about the garden, about how the dog from next door kept digging in the flower beds. I told her I was okay. Not great, not healed, but okay. And that I was proud I stood up for myself and for her memory. Tom hasn't called. Neither has Anna. And truthfully, I'm not sure I'd answer if they did. I think about my grandchildren often, Michael and Emily. I wonder if they ask about me. I wonder what they were told. Maybe someday, when they're older, they'll come find me. And if they do, they'll find the door open. Always. But as for Tom, I don't know. I really don't. I hope he finds something better in himself. I hope he remembers what love looks like, not the kind that takes, but the kind that stays. For now, I'll live out these years in the house Elizabeth and I built together. I'll fill it with kindness and music and the smell of fresh bread when I feel up to baking. I'll read in the sunroom. I'll listen to the birds. I'll keep the porch light on, even if no one's coming, because some part of me still believes in goodness. And if nothing else, I believe in the strength of a life lived with love, even if it ends with the lesson that not everyone who calls you family deserves your trust. But those who do, you hold them close and never let go.